is up, everybody? This is Steve the Breach coming to you here today. We are driving home from work on a Tuesday. Damn good day. Honestly, just was replenishing and filling everything up. We had a pretty good Cinco de Mayo. Sold a lot of stuff, so stuff came in on the load. Took up most of my day putting that stuff up on the shelf. But damn, Monday Night Raw last night. Really, really good. Honestly, I think it's really awesome. We get to watch it live on Netflix. I've talked 1,000 times about how, like, in this last year, my love of wrestling is really just, like, pumped out. And it's just, like, pumping WWE right now. And I'm not watching SmackDown each and every week, but me being able to, set out Mondays to watch Raw on Netflix. I think I've only missed one, and that was like the Monday that my mom was here, and she was over at the house, and I know that she didn't want to watch Monday Night Raw. She didn't want to watch wrestling, and we just kind of passed on that. But Backlash coming up this Saturday. I kind of missed on what I thought the main event angle was going to be. Looks like Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, neither one will be featured on Backlash. In the back of your mind, kind of like how we always, always have to talk about the Money in the Bank briefcase. Whenever there is one and there's a major show coming up, we're always kind of thinking like, oh, is there going to be a cash-in? It really looks like they're tied up with CM Punk, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking Roman Reigns. But none of them are featured on the Backlash show. I still have it in the back of my mind that any match, from a men's match and a women's match, I wouldn't be surprised to see them show up and just cause havoc over the show, just to make sure everybody knows this is the major storyline that is going on in WWE. Seth Rollins, he almost won the World Heavyweight Championship because Jey Uso, who was not ready for the match, kind of was thinking of going a different direction, calling out Logan Paul, took the match on a moment's notice. In my mind, honestly, I think that's just Paul Heyman just outsmarting Jey Uso, who wants to be a fighting champion. But if he wants to keep being champion, he can't make momentary decisions like that on Monday Night Raw and basically just call anybody out. I think that he has a chance to be one hell of a champion, but if he keeps on making decisions like that, I wouldn't be surprised that this title reign is a short one for him. We look over the card. I mean, Cena versus Orton, we made a video about that the other day. I think that's just going to be a show-stealing match. There's no doubt in my mind that Cena's going to get the win there. I think even the biggest Orton fan in the world would think that they're just hoping that this is like... I think an Orton fan is hoping it's not, but I think it is probably the last main event match for Randy Orton in his career. And I just hope that, him and Cena link up, and it's just like 2008 all over again, and they have the match of their lives. Pat McAfee versus Gunther, they had like a little back and forth inside of the ring. Adam Pearce came down there. He said to, keep it professional. There was a lot of talking. There was no physicality. I don't even think Gunther threatened him, and I think that what made him more of a monster was that Gunther sorta was taking advantage of Jey Uso for the 10 weeks of hate in between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania 41, attacking him, choking him out each and every week. Gunther didn't do that. He basically let Pat McAfee know that come Saturday, I'm going to beat you. And I'm going to beat you like you've never been beaten before. Pat McAfee, being the former football player, even though he was a punter, the man knows how to take a hit. I think one of his biggest NFL highlights is him delivering a hit, getting a tackle on a kickoff when he was with the Colts. just pretty much just laying somebody out. McAfee, he's had 2 matches, as far as I can remember. The one with Adam Cole, and then the War Games match. The guy knows how to take a beating. I wouldn't be surprised if this is like a write-off for him, a reason for him to disappear and get off of the announce desk for the upcoming summer and fall into the winter, where he makes his return normally around the Royal Rumble. He does a lot of work on his podcast daily, as well as work for ESPN on Saturday mornings. I think it just stretches him too thin if he's going to figure out how to be able to do, the ESPN gig, the NCAA gig, and then still be able to do Monday Night Raw, even if he wasn't doing, pay-per-views, whether they were Saturdays or Sundays, however they pop up. Or maybe that's part of his NCAA deal, is that he doesn't do WWE during that time period. He doesn't even show up for just sporadic show, even if he happens to be in the same town. I think, he brought Rock to that SmackDown in Colorado. I don't remember if he came out with The Rock or not, but it was told by everybody that The Rock was driven there pretty much by McAfee and delivered to WWE. But, I was kind of thinking about this, and we've been thinking about it for a while. Is this either setting up a Goldberg return at Backlash, or is this going to be setting up a Goldberg match for, Money in the Bank, for, the Saudi Arabia show, for SummerSlam? It's been widely talked about that Goldberg is trying to find a way to have a retirement match. He wants to have it in WWE. It has been talked about, for a long period of time, that Goldberg would wrestle like an independent match against Ryback, or there was the talk of him going to AEW, but he ended up coming back, and he had a little bit of a run with WWE a few years ago. He wrestled a match against Roman Reigns and lost. I believe it was a Saudi Arabia show. And he came back to Monday Night Raw and said that he was embarrassed that he lost. That wasn't the way that he wanted to go out. And he said that he was going to go home and he was going to train and get ready. And then WWE just never brought him back. He never got to have that retirement match. Now you fast forward a couple of years. You lead that into, I want to say Bad Blood was in like October. It was the same show that was in Atlanta, where The Rock came out after the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns tag team match. They fought against the Bloodline, I think. I don't even really remember that match other than the ending. And then we find out, come WrestleMania, that meant nothing. And then the interview by The Rock on Pat McAfee was that because they needed help selling tickets in Atlanta, and they just had The Rock show up, because that not being related to what happened at the Chamber and then what didn't happen at WrestleMania makes no sense. And then for The Rock to come out and say that there was never any plans for him to be at WrestleMania 41, that doesn't make any sense either. I don't know. I thought Atlanta was a sellout. Maybe it wasn't an accident on the Pat McAfee show that Cody Rhodes let it slip. The big man was making his return. He didn't come out and say The Rock was going to be there, but you could verbally hear McAfee ask if the big man was going to be making a return. Cody answered, and McAfee say, "That's all that needs to be said. You pretty much told me the answer." That's not even what we're going on. But on that same show, we had Gunther in the ring, you know, basically calling out Goldberg, who was a legend, sitting in the front row with his son, just wanted to see the show. And next thing you knew, Goldberg is getting into the ring, you know, huffing and puffing and saying he wants a shot at Gunther. And we all thought that match would happen WrestleMania, Royal Rumble. We would see it somewhere along the way. We've had, you know, major television shows like Saturday night's main events. We've had a lot of time to cash in on this Goldberg match. Now, either Goldberg has been, you know, training in the gym like a madman. I will give it to you. You know, the peak of Goldberg to me was like Goldberg versus Hogan at the Georgia Dome. And I was at that show. I want to say that was like 1998. So we're coming up on like 25 years later trying to give Goldberg his goodbye match when he really hasn't had a match, I want to say, since 2022 is when I think that match with Roman happened. So I'm not really quite sure. I know that WWE tries to get back, tries to deliver to the legends. And if Goldberg wants to have one match, why not have it under their umbrella, but having a way to work it in? Goldberg a while back was doing, you know, some interviews, some publicity. I don't know if he wrote a book or if he had a TV show coming out, but honestly, by the tone that Goldberg was giving, he didn't seem like he was really down with the current state of WWE or TKO, talking, you know, very favorably about, you know, working for Vince McMahon, which doesn't really fit with the narrative that he had when he was wrestling and still trying to find a place to wrestle. But he kind of made it seem like they were kind of lost under Triple H. Triple H had made a promise to him that he was going to have a retirement match, and maybe it's just the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and Triple H had to call Goldberg and be like, hey, you know, we are planning to have you a match, but we just can't flip a switch and fit you in like that. And, you know, we have it on the board. It's going to come, and maybe this is what it's going to be. Maybe it's going to be, you know, Money in the Bank in LA. Maybe it's going to be SummerSlam in New Jersey. I don't know. I think Crown Jewel is going to happen in Australia this year, the Perth show. But or maybe the Saudi Arabia show, whatever the hell that's going to be called. But maybe that's where it fits. But McAfee, I think that honestly he gets his ass kicked come Saturday. I see McAfee as a guy who's not gonna want to go out bloody on the mat. Even if he is, you know, bleeding out of the mouth or something like that, I can see him, you know, trying to fight to a knee to make sure, you know, he can sell Gunther. Like, is that all you got? But maybe Goldberg comes running down. The only connection really would be a football connection. Goldberg didn't have a historic career with the Atlanta Falcons or the Sacramento Surge or wherever else he played other than the University of Georgia. But, you know, maybe that's all that's needed is football to connect these two dudes, where Goldberg finally gets to have his match with Gunther, and we see where we go from there. But honestly, I don't want to say it's the highlight of Backlash, because I think it's like the number 3 thing that I'm looking forward to on that show. But hey, be on the lookout. Could be seeing Goldberg real soon.